About 10 years ago, I was a cooperating teacher for Dr. Malloy. And one day while I was teaching, he was in the back of the room. And he always sat down in the back of the room and you know, paid attention to the lessons and stuff like that. And this day, he was standing in the back of the room, standing there, staring at me. And I just kept teaching. I'm like, okay, maybe you need to stand up. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I looked down at my shoes and I realized my fly is wide open. And I looked at my students and I said, and my fly is wide open. And so everyone laughs. And of course, I walked back behind the desk and tried to zip up. Unfortunately, it wasn't just open, it was broken. So I'm standing behind the desk for the rest of the period with my fly wide open.
I would have to say my most embarrassing moment was my second year teaching. I was in this science lab and there's all these like rickety old lab chairs, and I was going over to help a student, and then I sat on it and it completely broke and I was on the floor.
Missing class with CJ Schmid was one of my students, so I had to answer to Mr. Schmid about why I wasn't at class, and it was like the first or second day of school. I think it was like the second or third day of school or whatever. And we had, it wasn't even a weird bell schedule, but just getting used to like, what period is this? And sitting in the business office. I actually sat through class in the business office, and then the next day Mr. Schmidt came to me and said, do you think you could go to class tomorrow or today and make sure you're in class? And I was like, yeah, I kind of noticed that I was in the wrong period at the wrong time.
Twice I have fallen on the overhead cord, tripped, fell on my face, and bless my students' heart, they did not laugh. And I got up and I said, why aren't you laughing? And then the whole thing burst open.
I don't know if it was the most embarrassing thing, but I had a kid on the first day mispronounce his name, and he basically almost kind of like threatened me. So I don't know if it was embarrassing, but I'm sure I turned pretty red about it.
My most embarrassing moment while teaching came my first year teaching. I was really young and I taught seniors and I taught on the block schedule. So I'd been teaching for about an hour using the overhead projector when the light bulb burned out on the projector, and I had no idea what the procedure was for that or what I was supposed to do, but I knew I needed to keep teaching and keep using the overhead. So I asked the kids, what do you do? Because kids always know. If you don't know, ask the kids because they know. So the kids said, oh, it's no big deal. You just send somebody to the library, but you have to send them with the bulb because there's so many different projectors in this school, they have to know which bulb to give you. And I was like, oh, no problem. That's super easy. Pop open the overhead projector and immediately grab the bulb that had been on for an hour. So not the smartest move I've ever made. Definitely not censoring my comments afterwards, and they just fell out laughing. I burned myself really badly, but it was really funny.
I was using an overhead, and I pulled down the overhead screen. And if you remember those screens, like you had to like jiggle it, sometimes it'd stay down, sometimes it wouldn't stay down, and so I'm trying to get it to come down, and half of it ripped out of the wall and swung down and hit me right here in the chest. And the kids erupted in laughter, and I was like, oh, my chest.
I actually asked my kids, I said, so what kind of teaching style do I have? And probably the #1 response was, you're chill. Okay, so I don't exactly know what that means, but I guess I'm chill.
I feel like I'm a pretty relaxed teacher. I want to get to know kids so that we can just have a better classroom experience.
I try to keep things light-hearted, but at the same time, we have a goal to accomplish. We have a certain amount of material we need to cover, or that there's a certain topic I want my students to learn.
One thing I do a lot is I sing. I sing a lot. I do a lot of songs to help kids remember. A lot of times, if I'm lucky, they sing with me. Most of the time, they don't. I try to make them sing. Some classes are more enthusiastic than others, and there are some videos I've found out on YouTube and Facebook of me rapping that I found out a few years later. Yeah.
I try to be very enthusiastic while being challenging as well, and understanding that not everybody's at the same skill level.
I really think my style is meant to maintain a high standard. I have high expectations, but they are not unreasonable. I don't really think anyone in my class is incapable of what I'm asking them to do, and so I ask them to do it.
I think my overall teaching approach to like in the classroom is pretty enthusiastic. I'm definitely known for some of my crazy gestures, and sometimes I joke around that it's like Blue Man Group. Like if you sit in the first 2 rows of my classroom, you might get hit with something.
I use a Socratic style. So in class, I assume my students are going to come in with material learned, and then I'll ask a series of 25 to 30 questions a day, primarily being what, who cares, so what, and why.
Teaching style is definitely eclectic. You know, I try and mix it up. Student-centered activities, you know, good discussions in class, definitely pretty high energy, try and keep the kids awake. Passion. You got to have real passion for what you do.
And I think if you can make the learning process fun, enjoyable, but meaningful. And I don't think you can do that if you're not passionate about what you're talking about.
I always say all the time that if I was in charge, if I was running anything and interviewing people, anybody who came into an interview and when asked, what do you teach? If they answered children before they said their subject, I would hire them on the spot. No further review required. Because I think that's the true idea behind teaching, is that it's not about what I'm teaching you, but that I'm teaching you.
If you're not passionate about the subject you teach, how do you expect the students to be?
It's the connections.
A lot of these kids just need a traditional, what I'm going to call role model, to come to and ask questions and get a straight, you know, shoot from the hip answer.
It's not about taking my knowledge and somehow implanting that. It's really about being there for them.
You have to be able to communicate with students. You have to be able to have the give and take. You have to know that, yeah, they're students. Yeah, they're high school students. They're not at the same level as you, and that's not an insult. We know that in psychology, the frontal lobe is the last lobe to develop, and your brains aren't done cooking yet. So you're functioning at a different level than I am, and so I have to be able to present it to you. It's not talking down to students, it's talking to students.
To have patience. A lot of times it's easy to like just want to get through the curriculum, and that first hand goes up and it's so easy to want to call on them, but that really means that we're only going to call on like those 5 eager participants in class, and so many people are going to lack in the growth that comes from participating in a classroom.
No 2 days are the same. No 2 class periods are the same. You can have the same lesson planned for every class, and every class is completely different.
Seeing the progress of a student I have from Spanish 1, Spanish 2, and seeing them converse or give a speech or speak in the Spanish language by Spanish 4. I'm very proud of seeing the progress in that student by the end of their 4th year.
I love coming to work every day. I don't really feel like it's a job.
I still wake up every day and want to be a teacher. I want to be in a classroom. It will be a tough move for me if I ever leave one, but you know, I think it might not be until someone knocks me over and rolls me out.
I love Waubonsie. It's a great community here. It's a family.
I love being here. You've got to know I love kids. I love high school kids and everything that goes along with the high school kids.
I love being here every year, and so obviously all of us have the opportunity to leave at the end of the year if we want to, and most of us want to stay because the students are fabulous, the staff is fabulous.
Waubonsie Valley is great because of my colleagues in my department. My colleagues in my department make me better, they make me a stronger teacher, they're always challenging me, and I think a lot of us have just stayed because the environment we teach in is a good environment.
I've never been excited about a job until I started teaching here at Waubonsie.
I love the community here. I think the kids are absolutely great.
I like the kids, I like the administration, I like my colleagues. It's what keeps me going.
I grew up in the area. I'm a Waubonsie alum, and I love this building. I love this school. I actually think about, you know, during Spirit Week, what am I going to do for Spirit Week? Well, what am I going to wear? You know, I've never gotten that excited about, you know, changing my clothes ever.
I think it's hard to replace a school like this and recreate this kind of culture in other schools. And there are highly successful schools, and they have highly successful cultures, and we're among the elite.
I love the people I work with every day. I think when you have all those things, it's really not even a job, so you really enjoy coming to work every day, and I love being at Waubonsie.